Okay, so welcome everybody. And again, we're going to have an evening where we've got some meditation and some mantra chanting. And today it's going to have three sections. It's going to have a section where we're trying to connect with, evoke the historical Buddha Shakyamuni. And then I know I've been bringing lots of figures, but it felt quite natural, especially given what Paramananda was talking about earlier today, to bring in Akshobhya and then end with Amitabha. And it'll have a fairly simple format. I'm going to say a few words at the beginning, maybe just things that struck me earlier in the day and how that's kind of led me to do what I'm going to do tonight. And then basically we'll have a reading invoking each of those figures. Then we'll have a period of just sitting or reflection that will be unled. And then we'll chant that figure's mantra. Then have a little bit of a pause, and then we'll do that again. So we'll start off with a Buddha Sati, just sitting in the Shakyamuni mantra, invocation to Akshobhya, just sitting Akshobhya mantra, and invocation to Amitabha, just sitting in the Amitabha mantra. So that's the layout for the evening. And I'm just going to read you okay, I'm going to read you two readings for the same person. Not a Buddhist, a scientist, but it reads so Buddhist. First is on mysticism, and the second is on compassion. The most beautiful and the most profound emotion we can experience is the sensation of the mystical. It is the source of all true science. One to whom this emotion is stranger, who can no longer wonder and stand wrapped in awe, is as good as dead. To know that what is impenetrable to us really exists, manifesting itself as the highest wisdom and the most radiant beauty, which our dull faculties can comprehend only in their most primitive forms. This knowledge, this feeling, is at the center of true religiousness. And a reading on compassion. A human being is part of the whole, called by us universe, a part limited in time and space. One experiences oneself, one's thoughts and feelings as separated from the rest, a kind of optical delusion of consciousness. This delusion is a kind of prison for us, restricting us to our personal desires and to affection for a few people nearest to us. Our task must be to free ourselves from this prison by widening our circle of compassion to embrace all living creatures and the whole of nature in all its beauty. Nobody is able to achieve this completely, but the striving for such an achievement is in itself a part of the liberation and a foundation for inner security. So those are both readings from Einstein, and yes, to me they seem very much in tune with the Dharma and very much in tune with some of the things that Paramananda has been saying this week, and particularly some of the things he's been saying today. So very much that sense of how we have this limited small self based in our sort of very self-referential ego consciousness, and that sense of being separated from others, other beings in the world, and wanting to heal that, wanting to bring it back into union, that sense of we being part part of the world, part of the earth, interconnected, interpenetrating, interdependent with other people and living beings. And very much that idea of wanting to widen, get into that bigger part, bigger experience, realizing ourselves just being part of life, part of the world, part of the universe. And alongside that, continuing that exploration of the heart, being at the center, our whole body, our whole psyche constellating around the heart center. And we're saying some quite interesting things about like how the heart, it's got its 4 chambers, but in a way it's divided down the center. And so it kind of contains dualities and brings them together. It's a center of unification and the possibility of going beyond either or, I think he said. And the heart helping to bring us into relationship with all those different parts of ourselves that we do, that splitting, that duality around. He brought up the image from the stories of Padmasambhava hanging out in charnel grounds with all the sort of demons and beings that are around there. And in a way, when we meditate, we're just trying to get to know and become comfortable with all the different parts and aspects of ourselves, some of which might be quite scary and we don't want to be with. But that's been a thread, hasn't it, through the whole retreat about, in a way, developing the capacity, feeling grounded, calm, able to sit with, be with our experience, whatever it may be, take our place in the world, and the outer world, the inner world, in a way, containing both of those, and the posture and our body being very much a part of that. So today, again, he was talking quite a lot about the historical Buddha. So yesterday he was talking about Angulimala and a little bit about his experience before he got enlightened under the Bodhi tree. And today he was talking more about the Bodhi tree and the Vajrasana, that place that's supposed to be at the center of the universe and where all Buddhas sit when they get enlightened. But he particularly brought up the story of Mara, who, when his armies have failed to deter the Buddha, he comes and he sort of has one-to-one trying to undermine his confidence and like, what right have you to be doing this? Why do you think you can be a Buddha? That kind of thing. And that very famous gesture that the Buddha makes where he touches the earth and then the earth goddess springs up. So he calls the earth to witness, and the earth goddess does witness, about how much practice he's done over lifetimes, and that he really does deserve to be sitting here and to have this experience of awakening to become a Buddha. So with all these stories, we're not really taking them literally. Well, I suppose maybe some people do, but they can be a great metaphor for our own practice, really. Because we all do have those doubts, we do all undermine ourselves. And there's something about touching the earth, the ground of the earth, that can be really reassuring. And all the talk we've had on the retreat so far about being grounded, grounding, turning towards, seeing through, that's the theme that's recurring, and we spend a lot of time on the grounding, and I'll be moving into the turning towards, and them not being separate, really. That as we ground ourselves, as we sit in our posture, we are opening, being receptive, turning towards our experience, whatever that may be. And I was really struck with Paramananda talking about the posture we take, not just that, there's the earth-touching mudra, but he was sort of saying that we could see our whole meditation posture as being the earth-touching mudra, that we could become that mudra embodied in our posture, which, I thought that was quite striking, and it did intrigue me a lot as something to explore further in my own personal practice. And there's been a lot of talking about how we can't just... It's not that there's anything wrong with our ego consciousness and thinking and our rational mind, but we do want to not let it be in control all the time, and we do want to have a bit of that letting go, surrender, particularly in our meditation practice, to be able to allow all those unconscious depths and all the different sides of ourselves that might not all be about thinking or our rational mind to unfold. And so I just thought I would bring up a couple of quotes from Sangharakshita, where he's saying that the effort we put into our spiritual development needs to be directed towards the growth of the whole psyche, not just a part of it. We need to unify our energies, and this means enlisting the cooperation of our unconscious energies by means of myth and symbol, and by the exercise of imagination and devotion. The rational approach will not do it on its own. So in a way, I think that creates a context for what we're doing in our meditation, but also in our devotional practice. Devotional practice isn't just rituals. Any time that we salute the shrine, any time we sit contemplating an image of the Buddha or chant a mantra, that's a devotional practice. Yeah, and it's what Sangharakshita talks about as being the language of the depths that we need to engage along the path. So the historical Buddha, Shakyamuni, the stories are also quite archetypal. Can't necessarily take them completely literally, but there was a being, a man around that time who was the basis of all the myths that we have, Shakyamuni. And he's, the historical Buddha, Shakyamuni, is at the base of all our practice. And in a way inspired all the archetypal figures I think you could think, maybe. And they are all embodying the qualities of the Buddha and the qualities of sort of like a awakened heart and mind. And when we have figures like Akshobhya and Amitabha, they're basically all got the same qualities. They're Buddhas, they're enlightened. It's not just that one has wisdom, one has compassion, but maybe with each, certain aspects of the path and practice are emphasized, certain approaches to path are emphasized. And maybe the images, the symbols associated with them may speak more to one person or another. But let's just be open and see what happens, really. So it is quite a traditional practice to contemplate the qualities of the Buddha. So basically that's what we're doing all evening. Yeah. Starting off with the historical Buddha, and we'll read a description of his qualities. And just be open. Some of them may not appeal to you, some of them may, but just see if anything strikes or resonates. And again, in the period of just sitting after the reading, maybe you want to think or reflect on something, maybe you don't. Just see if it activates you, as Paramananda keeps on talking about activating our hearts or our bodies, our psyches. And then after a period of just sitting, I'll start up one of the Shakyamuni mantras, joined by Sangadara. Then we'll have a brief pause, and then I'm going to read Invocation to Akshobhya by Satyanama. And again, after the invocation, we'll have a period of just sitting and we'll chant his mantra. Then we'll have a brief break, and then we'll end with an invocation of Amitabha, just sitting in his mantra. So if you'd like to get yourselves comfortable, I know I've been talking a lot, but that's basically the last of the talking I'm going to do, except for reading out the invocations.
Odilila, I think that your computer is muted.
Does that mean everything I said has been muted? Oh well, doesn't matter. People had a nice time to sit quietly if so. Okay. Buddhasati, which is from the Sutta Nipata. He has no anger, no fear, and no pride. Nothing disturbs his composure, and nothing gives him cause for regret. He is the wise man who is restrained in speech. He does not conceal anything, and there is nothing he holds on to. Without acquisitiveness or envy, he remains unobtrusive. He has no disdain or insult for anyone. He is not a man who is full of himself, or a man who is addicted to pleasure. He is a man who is gentle and alert, with no blind faith. He shows no aversion to anything. He is not a man who is full of himself, or a man who is addicted to pleasure. He is a man who is gentle and alert. He is not a person who works because he wants anything. If he gets nothing, he remains unperturbed. There is no craving to build up the passion to taste new pleasures. His mindfulness holds him poised in constant even-mindedness, where arrogance is impossible. He makes no comparisons with the rest of the world as superior, inferior, or equal. Because he understands the way things are, he is free from dependency, and there is nothing he relies on. For him, there is no more craving to exist or not to exist. This is what I call a man who is calmed. It is a man who does not seek after pleasure, who has nothing to tie him down, who has gone beyond the pull of attachment. It's a man without sons, a man without wealth, a man with nothing in him that he grasps up as his, and nothing in him that he rejects as not his. And he is a man who receives false criticisms from other people, but who remains undisturbed and unmoved by their words. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha. 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 So I know I said I wouldn't say anything more, but I realised I didn't say anything about Akshobi and why it felt appropriate to bring him in. I won't say much. He's the dark blue Buddha of the East, head of the Vajra or the wisdom family. Very much associated with both that slowly dawning wisdom and the wisdom that just cuts through. But his name is unshakable, he's imperturbable, and he's got that earth-touching mudra. And his special wisdom is the mirror-like wisdom that just sees what is, doesn't add anything, doesn't take anything away, doesn't distort anything. Which is a lot about how Paramananda's been encouraging us to approach our meditation practice, to just be with, see with whatever's there in our experience. And he transforms aversion, ill will, hatred into metta. And I think you need his metta to be able to have that mirror-like wisdom and see all those bits of yourself that may be difficult to accept, that we may have been pushing away or denying or feel ashamed of. So I'm not really going to say anything more about him, other than he's associated with elephants, and we did have that nice image about how an elephant doesn't just turn its head, it just turns its whole body around to see. So let's be like elephants and let's sit firmly in our posture, touching the earth, or maybe our posture being that earth-touching mudra. Feeling that sort of sense of being rooted and unshakable. Though it's interesting that Akshobhya is also associated with the wrathful figures, so yeah, if you need that extra bit of energy to break through the things that are holding you back, you can include that as well. So, invocation of Akshobhya. Turning to the east in the time before dawn, I bow to the deep blue light that is the Buddha Akshobhya. Master of the depths, you sit on a pale blue lotus, touching the earth with the fingers of your right hand. Balanced in your left hand, perfectly upright, is the golden Vajra. You sit deep in meditation. You are the guardian of my depths. Your knowledge is deeper than 1,000 oceans. You are a universe unto yourself. In your heart, on a pale blue lotus, is the mystic seed syllable Hung. All deeds, all the past, all depth is contained within you. You are immutable, unshakable. You cannot be fathomed. There is a universe within your heart. You are the potential of the yet-to-be-born day, of the time before dawn, of light gathering below the horizon, waiting to emerge. You are gathering energy within you, like acorns waiting to grow, taking root. You are the water element that nourishes life. You are the wisdom of the great mirror, reflecting back all things clearly and undistorted. You are the truth the strange, mysterious truth of the depths, a truth which grows within us slowly, like the gradual dawning of a new day. There is a universe within your heart. Stepping into it, hands folded to my own heart, I enter the pure eastern land of Abhirati, the realm of complete joy. In this land, protected by you, no vows can be broken, no depths distorted, no falsehood spoken. It is a land of harmony with ourselves, of true and deep contact with what we really are. Once connected like this, we reside in a deep sense of well-being, of living in harmony with reality, rooted, unshakable, fulfilled, whole. O Vajrakshobhya, help us to overcome our anger, to overcome irritation that arises from small concerns. Help us to rid ourselves of the poison of hatred that goes against our deepest wishes. O Vajrakshobhya, hold up the mirror of your supreme wisdom so that we may clearly see what needs to be done. Just sitting. Om Vajrakshobhya Hum. 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 Okay, so we'll have a 5-minute leg stretch. And then back to Amitabha, who's been with us so far on the retreat. So welcome back. And yes, as Paramanda was saying, with a lot of the mantras we chant, we're basically calling the name of a particular Buddha or Bodhisattva. So maybe trying to get their attention, calling them to us, but also maybe that sense of making a connection, a relationship with them, coming into a relationship with them and their qualities that are also our qualities. If you're doing a visualization practice, sometimes you see the Buddha outside of you, but sometimes it's like you imagine yourself as that particular Buddha or Bodhisattva. Because we do all have those qualities, even if it's just seeds that need to grow and develop, be cultivated through our practice over time. In the afternoon, Paramanda led us in a practice where we were encouraged to either out loud or in our heads, in our imaginations, call our own name and see if we could do that with a voice of unconditional love. So for me, my own voice, that's a bit of a stretch to have unconditional love for myself, even though I have got much better at having metta towards myself and compassion towards myself. But yet, if I imagine someone like Amitabha or Akshobhya calling my name, well, then they do have it. And yeah, it's yeah, you might want to try it out yourself. The Buddha or some particular figure that you feel a connection with, imagining them calling your name with unconditional love. What effect would that have? Or just being seen, witnessed by them. There's that whole theme of being witnessed. We can be witnessed by the earth, but it does mean allowing ourselves to reveal ourselves to ourselves, to be seen, to be witnessed. And just remember that Amitabha, he sees the uniqueness of everyone, everything, but he does that with the eyes of love. Infinite light, infinite love and compassion. So if you just want to get yourselves in your meditation posture again, we'll end the evening invocation of Amitabha that we did here a couple of nights ago. I'll hear it again. Then a period of just sitting and then plain Amitabha mantra. Maybe we're going into a different dimension. Strange things happening on the screen. But that feels quite appropriate. Invocation of Amitabha. Turning to the west and the rays of the setting sun, I bow to the ruby red light that is the Buddha Amitabha. Lover of light, you sit on a rich red lotus, floating on the ocean of existence. Your hands touch together in your lap, a soft red lotus growing between them. You are deep in meditation, completely at peace with yourself. Rich red light emanates from every pore of your skin. Your red robes are embroidered with gold. Soft red light and a rainbow surround you. The wisdom aura of green encircles your head. You are the rich red light of the setting sun, sinking into the ocean of existence, your rays extending across the sea to meet us. With your light comes your love, a warm and passionate love for all that lives, suffusing all things, nourishing and healing, bringing back to life the hurt and wounded. The red light washes over us, melting the ice of our hearts. Yet always deep in meditation, your energy drawn inwards, moving from the senses to the riches of your inner world. From this wholeness and containment, your love shines out, and the lotus growing in your hands, each red petal slowly opening and emanating light. This lotus echoes the growth in us of our own inner life, our own aspirations, the gentle warming and unfolding of our own hearts. Lover of light, your discriminating vision sees each person exactly as they are, loves each one according to their need. You see, perceive clearly the nature of all things, seeing with the eye of reality beneath the form to the thing itself. Oh, Amitabha, you are the fire element, the spark of life. Warmth and heat is life itself. Let the fires of your love burn brightly for all to see. Oh, Amitabha, help us to overcome our selfish greed, to see clearly what we really need. Help us to become content with what we already have and be happy wherever we are. Oh, Amitabha, help us to come alive to a world beyond the senses. Help us to experience the joy of meditation, the ever-renewing energy of our minds. Help us to enter Sukhavati, the blissful land of your light, the blissful land of your love. Om Amideva Hui. 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 Om So thank you all for coming and practicing, and that marks the end of this evening.